Hi guys, it's Kelly here and I'm back with another video. Today's video is featuring lots of products from Picket Fence Studios. I'm using Candy Cane Christmas, Winter Blooms, Deck the Halls, Peaceful Christmas Flowers, Sweet Holiday, and Christmas tags and ornaments. And then the basics die as well. So why am I using so many products? I'm using so many products because I'm making 3 cards and 3 tags, but they're all going to be, well, if you've been to this channel before, this will not surprise you. They're all going to be matchy-matchy, but the Christmas card will match its tag. Also, Picket Fence is having a 30% off Christmas sale. So all of these things are 30% off. And all of these things are stamp sets that I have drawn. These are my illustrations. And I know a lot of you, which I appreciate so greatly, a lot of you guys try to support me. And so if you can get them on sale, I'm happy to let you know when they are on sale for you to grab them. So now let's go back to the card. I am stamping all of my backgrounds on Canson Monteval watercolor paper. It is cut slightly smaller than an A2 size card, so it is 4 by 5 1/4. Why is it that size? Because of the leftover piece of watercolor paper I had. This is the size I had to cut them to be able to get 3 backgrounds, and I am cheap. So here we are. So now I've stamped the Winter Blooms, the frame, and then now the inside piece. Because watercolor paper is more textured, I do stamp them twice. And then in addition, I am also going to stamp it again onto some Nina Solar White cardstock, and this is going to be for the card portion. So we're going to have the background, the tag, and then this. The tag in the back and the card are going to come from the same background. Here, I'm just showing you, this is Sweet Holiday. Those hellebores are repeated in the Winter Bloom so that they go together. And if you want to use that cupcake from Sweet Holiday, it will also fit inside this frame. I don't know if this was a misstep or not. I'm going to be honest. I wanted to kind of fill up some of the area in between the center and the frame. And so I took the single flower from the Sweet Holiday, as well as like the leaf and the holly, and kind of like built them up to kind of fill in that gap. I think I made it a little bit too busy, but at the end of the day, everything worked out. So I'm going to call it a win. If I had to do it all over again, I probably wouldn't have stamped as many, but that's neither here nor there. What am I talking about? So we're doing that. Oh, I do want to mention, this is going to be a chatty story time kind of video. Of course, with some instruction, but if you're looking for nothing but instruction, this video is also up over on the Picket Fence Studios channel, and that voiceover is nothing but instruction, no chit chat. You don't have to listen to me ramble on about my life if you don't want to, and I'm not offended. That's okay. I'll link it below in the YouTube description. So one other note before we get into story time, this is Candy Cane Christmas. This is one of the first sets that I ever released with Picket Fence Studios, and I love it, but it is the only one that does not have a die. And so I just want to be very honest about that. I am using it still because I love the imagery and I don't mind fussy cutting, but after I do the background and I stamp my additional candy cane, I already know that I am going to have to fussy cut that out to go with my card. If you are a person who does not like fussy cutting, or maybe you don't have the dexterity to do so, you may want to skip that one or change your layout. So with that said, let's get into story time. So I had recently realized in another video that we had not even talked about my husband's new schedule and his promotion. So I was like, I can't believe I forget. There was just like so much going on at the time that I didn't even take the time to brag about him, and I feel terrible about it. So I'm gonna get you now this time. Back to this card. This is the Peaceful Christmas Flowers. This is all the imagery in that set, and I'm using them to create the background. And then once I get these stamped out, that single one, I'm going to move down here to the bottom to fill that gap in. And then because I wasn't sure how I was going to cut my tags, I ended up stamping all 3 of these, and I used 2 of the 3 to build the card, so the third one will just be stamped for the next time I am using the set. So let's travel back in time to the summer. So I'm not sure how, like, if you guys are familiar with how it works, and every department is different. We have to go back to the card again. So because the Candy Cane Christmas is, see, I've already forgotten to treat with my anti-static tool because I'm just bebopping along. So treat with your anti-static tool. Because this is just one image, it's a smaller set. It's not as full as the other one. So in order to fill that up and also add another technique, and it makes the background a little bit more dynamic, I am stamping some snowflakes from Candy Cane Christmas and Sweet Holiday in the background in white pigment ink, and then I am heat setting them with white embossing powder. And once I put my watercolor on, it's going to act as an emboss resist in the background of my card and my tag. So you do not have to do this technique in order to make the card and the tag matchy-matchy. This is just what I chose to do. I chose to do some really loose watercolor in the background. So I've wet the whole background, and now I'm going to smush my inks down so that I can pick up my ink colors and drop them into the background. Originally, I have started with Peacock Feathers, Uncharted, was it Uncharted Mariner? I think so. Kitsch Flamingo, Picked Raspberry, Seedless Preserves, Mustard Seed, and Lumberjack Plaid. I did not use the red. I didn't like it. You'll see how forgiving watercolor is here in a minute, because this is the first background that I did, so I'm just kind of adding them in. The pigment's going to move wherever the water goes. I've chose colors that are going to work really nicely together, and then I dropped that red in, and I'm like, ugh, why? Why did I do that? Like, it's no good. I don't like it. And then you'll see me try to use, because I can't learn my lesson the first time, you'll see me try to use it again. But watercolor is super forgiving. If you don't like it, just blot it up with a paper towel while it's still wet. If it's not wet enough to move the pigment, spray it down with water, let it sit for a minute, and then blot it up. And you can do that as many times as you need to. And then, I just don't love what's happening here. And that's okay. So here's where I'm going to go in. I'm going to blot it up with a clean paper towel. And it does remove quite a bit of it, but not enough. And so I am going to spray it down with water, let it sit, and then use the key is you have to use a clean side of the paper towel, because otherwise you risk redepositing the color back in. So you want to use the clean side of the paper towel to make sure that you're lifting it up. And then this one I'm just going to set aside because now it's completely saturated. Another thing to note is I don't have a third hand. You'll start to see at the bottom where there's another little hand in there. That's Caitlin. She was sitting in my lap while I was doing some of my painting, and then she started playing with my glue press, and she wanted to do some of the painting. So when you see that little third hand down there in the bottom, it belongs to a child. It's not mine. All right, now back to the thing. So in each department, I'm pretty sure it works differently, but in the department that I worked in and the one that my husband works in currently, they have to test for a promotion. And then they test the civil service commission certifies the list. And then from there, depending upon how it's set up within the city, the promotions will be in order. There is also there's something called seniority points, where basically like you get extra points just because of like the years that you've worked there. And so that's kind of the way that it gets set up. So my wonderful husband decides that he is going to take the exam for sergeant. And it is it's a multiple layered test. So the first one is written. And if you pass the written, then you go on to the, why can't I think of what it is? It's a word. It's not a hard word. Like basically where they're interviewing you. There's like a panel that interviews you. And then assessment. That's what it is. Like you move on to the assessment center. And, you only get there if you pass the written. So the written is on one Saturday. You go in and take it, and then the scores come back for that. If everybody is passed, or those who have passed that test, they go on to the assessment, and then they're combined for their final score. So Eric went and, did the written. He passed. He went back into the assessment center, and then when the raw scores came out, he had actually scored number 1. Now, this was not this past summer, but the summer before. And we were not ready for him to get promoted. We were actually hoping another friend of ours who was also testing was going to get promoted, and then we would be number 2. That was kind of like best case scenario for us. And with the addition, so he's sitting at number 1 because he's wicked smart and he's so good with people and, the interview process. And he is just great at having conversation and talking to people. Like he just is. Here's where I put that red back in. And I was like, why, girl? Why are you doing that? So then I realized that I don't like it. And I'm going to go back in with another paper towel and blot up just the red and then try to cover it up with the pink. So if this poor background can survive me doing this twice, I assure you it can survive whatever you're going to be doing to it. But again, I reiterate, you do not have to do a loose, messy watercolor background. You can color your backgrounds however you would like. It will not change the technique for how to get a tag and a card that match out of one background. You can color it however works for you. I just happen to really enjoy the watercolor as a base. So anyway, after they add up the seniority points, our friend is now number 1 and my husband is number 2. So we're like, thank you, Jesus. This is exactly where we want to be. Like, super happy with the way that this is going. So sure enough, our friend gets promoted. That then moves my husband up to be the next one on the list. And within the year, which we knew, another friend of ours who I worked with for 20 years, he's retiring. And so when he retires, then Eric will move into his spot as sergeant. But there's kind of like this unwritten rule of no matter where you get promoted to, you have to do 6 months back on the road. So that was kind of throwing us a little bit because, if you guys have followed along, you know that he's been in the detective bureau. He hasn't been back on the road. We have to go back to the card. So here's all 3 backgrounds completed. I'm gonna be real with y'all. You guys know I'm a realist. I don't really like them. Okay. I think there's a lot going on. It's a little busy for me, but I'm not going to start over. Watercolor paper is expensive. I'm going to roll with it and see what I can do. So here I'm taking the tag die and I'm trying to figure out what portion I want to cut out for the tag. This is the only thing I will caution you is make sure you have enough area around the outside edges that you're going to be able to cover this up. So also make sure your watercolor paper is completely dry before you use any sort of low-tack tape or anything like that, because if it is even kind of damp, you will rip your paper. So Just putting that out there. So now here, like I'm going in, you can see I'm doing a bunch of different angles and things like that, trying to figure out the best way that I'm going to be happy with my tag, that I'm going to fill those up and still have those outside edges. So now all three of the tags are cut out of the middle of my background. And now I'm going to set my backgrounds aside and I'm going to work on just the tags. Originally, I thought that I was going to use this colored background and cut the tags out of those backgrounds. I did cut the tags out of those colored cardstocks, but I actually didn't end up using them that same way. So here we're going to go in and we're going to do the coloring of the candy cane. I love the color variation and the texture that coloring over top of watercolor gives. Like, it's so much more interesting and it's bolder and just, I don't know, there's just something about it that is just so much more. And I love that. So for the tags, I am going to color with my alcohol markers right over top of the watercolor. And I am going to absorb all of that variation and the boldness of the design, and it's going to make my heart happy. But I'm only doing that for the tags. You could absolutely color the whole background that way and then cut out your tags if you wanted them to all be, colored. But I chose to let my background just be the watercolor because I want the Copic coloring of the other images to kind of be the focal point and the background to be the background. But please know, you absolutely could color the whole thing in these beautiful, vibrant colors, and it would look amazing. Alternatively, as I previously said, you could color these any way that you would like. You could leave off the watercolor. The point is to just fill up your background, die cut your tag out of the middle-ish of it in order to be able to create the two that will match each other. Okay, so where were we with the promotion? Oh, so anyway, our buddy is getting promoted. We know that that's going to happen. He's supposed to go back and do 6 months on the road no matter what. And that is a little bit problematic for our schedule. But I mean, hey, we've both worked, as first responders for years. We know what it's like to have to flip-flop around our schedule. And the long-term goal is for us, his aspiration is to be in charge of the detective bureau. That's his long-term goal. And we're on the path to get that. And I'm so proud of him. So they announce our friend's retirement and his Eric's promotion. But it's going to be at a city hall meeting that's also going to be at an award ceremony for the year. And there's 12 guys who are getting awards. So we already know that it's going to be kind of long. Because we don't know, is he going to go first, last? When are they going to do the promotions? The fire department also has some promotions that they're doing. And so leading up to it, we know that it's going to be right smack dab in the middle of dinner time. Our original game plan is he's going to be at work. He's going to stay at work. He's not going to come home because there's no point. The city hall meeting is at 7, and he gets off work at 4. So basically he would drive home to change clothes, to turn around and drive back. These are all three of the tags colored. I love the way that they came out. And now I'm going to work on doing the tags. So for the tag protector, I cut them out of white and colored cardstock. And I'm also, in addition, going to cut another white tag to put on the back in order to make sure that the back doesn't get all yucky with the imprints. I'm going to use my magic mat from scrapbook.com, and this is going to make sure that mat doesn't get any of that embossed from where we've die cut multiple times into our plate. it saves us from that. And then that way we'll have a nice smooth surface to write our to from or stamp our Christmas message or whatever. And then we're going to move on to, I'm not going to show you the coloring of the candy cane because I showed you that on the tag, but I will show you the poinsettias and the winter's blooms, which is an amaryllis and the hellebores. Okay. So we're like, okay, we know it's going to be a long time. It's going to be right smack dab in the middle of dinner. I have to get ready because here's the thing. He's going to be in his class A's and we're going to take pictures as a family. So not only, like, it doesn't matter what anybody else is wearing, but as his family, we're going to be taking photos. So the kids need to be dressed up and I need to be dressed up because also part of the ceremony is the pinning of his badge, which is traditionally done by their spouse. So I'm going to have to go up in the middle of his promotion, to pin his new badge on for sergeant. So we're like, okay, we're gearing up for this, making sure he gets, his chevrons added to his uniform, that we're all good. My mom's going to come over beforehand so to make sure that I have time to get ready, while my kids are getting ready and make sure everybody is fed so there's no hangry children. And it's just kind of very chaotic. Well, we decide since he is going to have to be there anyway, that on Tuesday, which is the day he's getting promoted, that we're going to adjust his hours. So instead of working 8 to 4 and then having this gap from 4 to 7, he's going to back up his hours. So he very nicely is like, hey, I'll get up with Caitlin. And then, that way I can take her to daycare and then I'll go ahead and go into work. So on Tuesday, he gets up with her, and she has a fever. She has 103-degree fever. She is sick. This could not come at a worse time. She feels like trash. She's very tired. The night before I was up with her, she did not have a fever at that time, but obviously she was, very whiny, cryy, tired, all of those things. So no big shock that the next day, she's full blown sick. So he gets up with her and he was like, I have to go into work. Like I think he had grand jury or something that day. And I was like, it's okay. Like I've got it. It's fine. Thank you for staying home with her. The first couple of hours, I've got it from here. And he was like, what are we going to do about tonight? And I was like, I don't know. And he's like, she has to be there. Like this may never happen again in my life. Like, this is a once in a lifetime thing. And I was like, babe, I get it. Like we will do what we can to make sure that she is there. So we're giving her the Tylenols, giving her some Zyrtec for the congestion, making sure she gets a good nap. I'm doing the best that I can, but now I cannot have my mom or his mom come help me because they're both immune compromised. So now I'm having to get both of my children ready and myself ready and drive this 30 minutes to where we're going to sit through this promotion, this award ceremony, and we don't even know how long it's going to be. And just hope that she doesn't lose her mind throughout it. Plus, I have to find somebody that I can hand my sick kid to because I have to go up there and pin on his badge. This was like, I was so stressed. So, thankfully, like while she was napping, I got myself ready. Super early, absolutely. But, you do what you got to do. Let's go back to the card for just 1 second. So here you can see where I've cut out of the middle of the colored cardstock. And I'm testing to see if I like that as a matte better. I'm also, here's that tag that I cut out of the middle. And I'm putting that back in and seeing if I like that as a card design. I don't like it. So what I'm going to do is I went back to the basics set and I pulled out this arch and I'm going to cut that arch out of white, all 3 of them. And I'm going to use that arch to cover up the tag so nobody's going to know it's missing except for me and you. and I'm going to be able to use the background and still use my tag. So I'm also going to stamp all of my sentiments in black on white, and then the sub sentiments, I'm going to white heat emboss on the colored cardstock, and cut them out, all of them out with their coordinating dies. So anyway, I get myself ready early. When she gets up, I am, giving her a snack. My son, thankfully, is old enough to get himself dressed, and he really was trying to be a big help with his sister. We had a total meltdown because she didn't want to wear the dress that was purchased for her. Now, this is my kid who normally loves dressing up, but she's sick, right? And I can't even, I don't want her to be around anybody because I don't want to get anybody else sick either. So after her meltdown, and I just keep apologizing to her. I'm like, baby, I'm sorry. I know you don't feel good, but it is what it is. Like we gotta push through. So I get everybody in the car. I drive out there. I'm like 10 minutes till go time. By the time that I get there, we have to park super far off in the parking lot. So we're like, I'm having to carry her in because she can't walk. She is Velcroed to my side. So thankfully, like my parents saved us seats and everything else. And so I was like, no, you have to, mom's like, we'll just sit next to dad. And I was like, I can't sit next to dad because I got to have somebody to hand this baby to, and dad lives in the same house as you. So that's out. So my sister Michelle was like, okay, I'm going to have Michelle sit next to me so I can hand Caitlin to her. They go through, thankfully, Eric talked to his chief, and they were like, yeah, we'll knock out the promotions right in the beginning. So that way we didn't have to sit, but maybe 20 minutes. And so then, they go through, they do his promotion. It's my turn to go up, and I go to hand Caitlin to Michelle, and she doesn't want to go. So I tell Nathan, I was like, Caitlin, will you go to your brother? And she was like, yes. So I was like, Nathan, come up here and sit in mommy's seat. I'm going to give you your sister. Like, he's such a good big brother. Really, truly. I'm so blessed. So I give Caitlin to Nathan. I go up, I pin on his badge. He gives a wonderful thank you speech, where he's just such a good guy. I'm so blessed. Like, I could just cry. Like, I really am. I'm blessed to have a wonderful, supportive husband, and I'm very grateful to have that because I know how rare that is. And I'm so thankful to be able to brag about him. And I know it makes him uncomfortable, but I literally don't care because I am so proud of him and the things that he has accomplished and the person that he is. So anyway, so he gives a wonderful thank you speech and basically says hey, it's not just me, I can only do this because Kelly's willing to be at home with the kids and our moms are willing to help out when we need it. And it's, everybody does a little, so nobody does a lot. And of course, leave it to him to not take any credit for his own promotion. But anyway, so from there, he's like, my daughter is sick. We're going to step out and take some pictures. So if you see the mass exodus, don't be concerned. So we're able to go out, get the pictures taken. Traditionally, they go out to celebrate the promotions. And he's like, hey, I'm just going to come home after the rest of the meeting is over. And I'm like, absolutely not. Just because I can't go with you to celebrate doesn't mean you should go celebrate. Go have a good time. I'm fine. So I was able to get them back home and her back in her jams and everything else. It worked out. Thank the Lord. But so now he has been promoted for a month, and God works in mysterious ways. And I'm very grateful for the way that he does things. But due to some changes within the department, and some unexpected retirements, he is going from his promoted position, which was an administrative sergeant, skipping his 6 months on the road, so we don't even have to suffer through that. And the current detective bureau boss is being promoted into the captain's position, and so he will actually make detective bureau sergeant, which we thought was a long-term goal, which turned out to be short-term, and very, very grateful for the way that it turned out, and so proud of him. And so, yeah, that's the story of his promotion that I can't believe I forgot to share with you guys, just because it was wild when it was happening. So here, all of our cards are built. I am adding some gemstones to them, and of course, some more shimmers because I love the glitters. And then we will recap so that you can see them all together. Oh, can't forget those white gel pen details. You guys know how I roll. And so they all are very matchy-matchy. I think this would be great as a last-minute gift as well, like giving us a card set with the matching tags. And so here they are. This is the Peaceful Christmas Flowers and its coordinating tag. Love the way that all of these came out, even though I didn't love the backgrounds to begin with. It just shows you, like, just sometimes you just got to persevere. You got to work through that ugly stage to get something that you'll be happy with. This one's the Winter's Blooms, and here is that coordinating tag as well. And then the last one is that Candy Cane Christmas that I fussy cut out, and its coordinating tag. So don't forget, the sale ends tonight at midnight. I apologize for getting it to you so late, but it's 30% off anything Christmas, not just these items. Lots of pastes and stamps and stencils and all kinds of stuff. So thank you guys so much for your time. I appreciate you, and I will catch you on the next video. Bye.